British Chancellor Rishi Sunak has delivered his keenly awaited budget. Just as elsewhere, UK public finances have been battered by the pandemic and the huge public spending committed to supporting the economy under lockdown. So far, the government has spent $550 billion, and at some point that money has to be clawed back. Sunak has revealed that schemes to protect jobs and businesses will be extended, but has warned that higher taxes are on the way. McGregor-Wood has more.
It's hard to think of another UK Chancellor who's handed out so much money to so many in such a short period of time. The question is, when's it all going to be paid back? The answer appears to be, not now, but soon.
This budget meets the moment with a three-part plan to protect the jobs and livelihoods of the British people. First, we will continue doing whatever it takes to support the British people and businesses through this moment of crisis. Second, once we are on the way to recovery, we will need to begin fixing the public finances, and I want to be honest today about our plans to do that.
Furlough schemes that cover up to 80% of salaries will be extended till September. A $30 hike in the main weekly state benefit will remain in place for 6 months. There will be new money to revive Britain's town centres, support for the struggling arts and entertainment sector, and additional grants for self-employed workers worth more than $10,000 each. Sunak says the emphasis is on nursing the economy back to strength before dishing out the medicine of higher taxes. UK debt is currently at $2.9 trillion, the highest since the 1960s. Tax allowances on personal incomes and pensions will be frozen till 2026, saving the Treasury billions each year. However, companies will have to pay up in return for the help they've received so far.
So it is fair and necessary to ask them to contribute to our recovery. So the second step I am taking today is that in 2023, the rate of corporation tax paid on company profits will increase to 25%.
It's a bigger jump than expected and could bring in $15 billion a year. To offset that bitter pill, there's a significant break for businesses that invest. They'll get 130% back in tax relief. There'll also be big new incentives for the green economy, with a new infrastructure bank and green saving bonds. And to boost the post-Brexit economy, there'll be tax-free free ports to kickstart regeneration in deprived areas. It's a tough balancing act for a Conservative Chancellor. MPs from his own party don't like tax hikes. This budget concentrates on cushioning a fragile recovery as the UK emerges from lockdown, the first economy in Europe to do so. In 2022, an extraordinary bounce back of 7% growth is predicted. It's the kind of growth a country with so much debt desperately needs. McGregor-Wood, TRT World.
For more on this, Rajneesh Narula joins us now from London. He's a Professor of International Business Regulation at the University of Reading's Henley Business School. Welcome back to the program, Professor. We know the UK's vaccine drive is making some really good progress across the country, but the economy is still some time away from fully reopening. So does it make sense then for this costly furlough scheme to be extended until October, as the Chancellor has announced?
Well, Oscar, yes, you're right. The vaccination scheme has been going really quite amazingly well. I myself got vaccinated this morning. But there's a certain amount of vaccine optimism that, it's going to continue at this pace, and there won't be a new variation, and there won't be a new lockdown. So if everything goes according to plan, yes, the economy will start to expand again from about summer is my reading. And I think that's what the Chancellor is also hoping for, which is why sort of the idea that some of these, the furlough schemes will be extended till September, but will start to wind down in July. So the idea is that by September, we'll be back to a fully running, normal, pre-pandemic economy.
Now, there was a lot of expectation about the bitter pills that Chancellor Sunak would likely announce, and he did announce one measure, and that's the hike in the corporate tax rate in 2023. We know the UK's national deficit, or a debt I should say, is likely to exceed $3 trillion by the time these new spending measures are announced. How necessary is it then that some taxes do go up in order for the government to attempt to begin balancing the books?
Well, Oscar, the pandemic is going to cost, we're expecting to borrow about 350 billion this year and another 240 billion next year. And despite all of this warm, optimistic planning, it's still going to take about 5 years to fully recover from this. But it makes a lot of sense someone has to pay. It is a spend now, pay later type of scheme. And it's so that there isn't any choice. You can't increase the rates of individuals, because that will obviously lead them to lose the next election. So they've gone for the only thing that they can go for, and that's a corporation increase in the corporate tax rate. However, I shouldn't be surprised if they sneak in a few other things. They've been talking about online sales tax for a while now. So that might come in quietly, not part of the budget, but somewhere further down the line this year.
As you say, individual tax rates haven't explicitly been increased, but those tax rates have been frozen, meaning that as people begin to earn more just through annual pay rises, some of them will effectively be required to pay more tax. So in terms of that, as well as the hike in the corporate tax rate, are you worried that they might have an impact on the economic recovery? Will that impact growth in any way?
Absolutely. This is optimism. This is everything will be rosy by as you know, as I heard in the earlier clip about the US. Everyone's assuming that everybody will be comfortable, and there won't be a new wave, and there won't be variants and a new and all that type of thing. So people are more pessimistic than the government is. The government wants people to believe this. So I suspect this will not be enough to help the economy back to normal. Government says a 7% growth rate. The Office for Budget Responsibility says it'll be 4 or 5%. But Oscar, one of the things that nobody wants to mention, the elephant in the room, is Brexit, which will cost 5% of GDP. Everyone, the estimates tend to agree around that number for the next few years. And that is something that isn't going to be clawed back, no matter how generous the government is or how quickly the economy bounces back.
Okay, Professor Rajneesh Narula, we will have to leave it there, but thanks again for joining us on the program.